My name is Mark Weston. I'm a 38-year-old architect from Seattle, and for the longest time, I believed I was living the dream. I had a career I loved, a house I designed from scratch, and most importantly, a family that gave my life meaning. I met Jessica 8 years ago. She walked into my office looking for help renovating a home she inherited. She was stunning, warm, and had this fierce independence that made you respect her instantly. She wasn't alone, though. Clinging shyly to her leg was her 3-year-old son, Ethan. Jessica told me her ex had left before Ethan was even born. He wanted nothing to do with us, she said, eyes hard but glossy. I didn't push for more. I just knew I wanted to be there for her and for the little boy who stole my heart faster than his mother did. Fast forward 2 years later, Jessica and I were married, and I had officially adopted Ethan. It was one of the proudest days of my life. We took a family picture in front of the courthouse. Ethan called me Dad before we even left the building. The years that followed were good. Solid. Simple. Or so I thought. Because all it took was one envelope, one DNA test kit, for my entire world to crack wide open. And one man to walk right back in. It all began with a school assignment, of all things, a simple 7th grade science project. Ethan came home buzzing with excitement. Dad, we're doing a genetics report. I need to compare my DNA to yours and Mom's. We're learning about dominant and recessive traits. I smiled at his enthusiasm. That sounds fun, I said, ruffling his hair. Let's show them how strong the Weston genes are. Jessica was oddly quiet. She forced a smile, then excused herself to the kitchen. At the time, I thought nothing of it. We ordered one of those at-home DNA kits, the kind people use to trace their ancestry. Just a cheek swab. Harmless. Ethan and I sent ours off together. He couldn't wait to see if we shared the same eye color gene. 3 weeks later, the results arrived. I opened the email on a lazy Saturday morning with coffee in one hand and the dog curled at my feet. But when I clicked on the report, my heart skipped. Parent-child relationship not detected. I blinked. Read it again. And again. I stared at the screen, numb, trying to make sense of it. Maybe I'd submitted the sample wrong. Maybe it was a glitch. But no. The results were crystal clear. According to science, cold, hard science, I was not Ethan's biological father. I didn't want to believe it. For a full hour, I paced the living room, replaying memories, trying to find some mistake. Jessica walked in and noticed the laptop screen still glowing. "What's this?" she asked, casually. I turned slowly and said, "Jess, why does this say I'm not Ethan's biological father?" Her face went white. She didn't deny it. Didn't even flinch. Instead, she sat down quietly, folded her hands in her lap, and said the 6 words that shattered me. Because he's not. And I lied. The air in the room went still, heavy, electric, like the silence before a storm. Because he's not. And I lied. Those words replayed in my head like a broken record, each time hitting harder. I stared at her, trying to find any sign, any flicker, that this was a sick joke. But Jessica didn't even blink. I sat down across from her, my voice low and shaking. "Who is he, Jessica?" She looked down, then up again, and said softly, "His name is Derek. He was my college boyfriend. We were on and off for years. Right before I met you, we had a night. I didn't know I was pregnant until after I'd blocked his number." "Did you tell him?" I asked. "No," she said quickly. "He was toxic. Controlling. I didn't want him in Ethan's life. I told myself it was safer this way. You were good. You were stable. And you loved Ethan like he was your own. I never meant to hurt you, Mark. I was scared you'd walk away. I couldn't breathe. 8 years of marriage. 8 years of birthdays, school projects, scraped knees, and bedtime stories. All under the illusion that I was his father. You let me adopt him, Jessica. My voice cracked. You stood there, in court, and you let me swear to be his father for life, knowing I wasn't. Tears welled in her eyes, but mine were already falling. I stood up, shaking. I need air. I walked out and sat in my truck for over an hour. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed about my life, was unraveling. But nothing, and I mean nothing, could have prepared me for what happened 3 days later. Jessica came home pale and trembling. She handed me an envelope. I got this in the mail, she said. I opened it. Inside was a letter. From Derek. He knew. And he was coming. 3 nights after Jessica's confession, a battered gray pickup rolled to a stop outside our house. I was up late, nursing cold coffee and colder thoughts, when headlights swept across the living room walls. My pulse spiked. A tall figure climbed out and strode up the walkway like he owned it. Every board in the porch creaked under heavy boots before the doorbell rang, once, then twice, then a fist rapped impatiently. I opened the door. He looked almost exactly as Jessica had described, 6'2", gym-built, a military haircut grown shaggy at the edges. A jagged tattoo peeked from beneath a rolled sleeve, Derek Carter in block script. Mark Weston, he asked, though his eyes said he already knew. Yeah. He produced a folded sheet of paper. Court-stamped petition to establish paternity and custody. DNA proves Ethan is mine. I want my son. 8 words. 8 bullets. Jessica appeared behind me, hand flying to her mouth. Derek's gaze flicked past me. A predator who'd already marked his prey. You walked out before he was born, she whispered. Derek smirked. And you hid him from me. But the law loves biology, sweetheart. I stepped between them. Ethan's sleeping. You need to leave. Clock's ticking, buddy. Temporary hearing in 10 days. Better lawyer up. He brushed my shoulder as he left, satisfied he'd detonated the first charge. I locked the door, but my knees almost buckled. Jessica sobbed in the hallway. Upstairs, oblivious, Ethan dreamed the gentle dreams of a 12-year-old boy. That night I realized something painful and pure. My love for Ethan wasn't tethered to DNA, it was forged in scraped knees, Lego castles, and thunderstorm lullabies. Derek might share his blood, but I shared his life. So I did lawyer up. I found Ellen Reyes, a family law firebrand known for turning biology wins cases on their heads. She laid it out plainly. Derek could win joint custody on genetics alone. But Ethan's best interest standard carried weight, especially if Derek had a history that endangered the child. If Derek had abandoned Jessica knowingly, we could argue equitable parenthood that I was Ethan's psychological father, the only dad he'd ever known. We needed evidence. And a 12-year-old's voice. Ethan will have to talk to the guardian ad litem, Ellen said. Be honest with him. Honest. The word felt heavy. But the time for shields was past. I sat Ethan on the back porch at dusk, cicadas humming in the cedars. Buddy, I began, voice shaking, remember your science project? There's something we need to talk about. I told him everything, minus the blame, minus the anger, just the truth. His eyes welled, not with betrayal, but with fear. Does this mean you're not my dad anymore? I pulled him into my arms. Nothing changes that. When he looked up, resolve gleamed through tears. Then we fight. Chapter 5, The Day the Truth Destroyed Everything. The courthouse smelled of varnish and nerves. Jessica and I sat at separate tables, distance that spoke volumes, while Ethan waited with the guardian ad litem in a side room. Derek arrived in a tailored suit that couldn't hide his smirk. He thought biology had handed him victory on a silver gavel. But the past has teeth. Ellen called our first witness, Officer Malik Grant, who pulled Derek over 6 months earlier DUI with a minor girlfriend in the truck bed. Next came Dr. Chen, ER physician, who treated Derek's ex-girlfriend for a fractured wrist, never prosecuted, but documented. Piece by piece, Ellen painted Derek as volatility in denim. Then came Ethan. He stood small yet unshakable before the judge. I don't want to live with Derek, he said. Mark is my dad. He's always been my dad. The courtroom held its breath. Ellen's final exhibit was the adoption decree from 8 years ago, signed, sealed, and paid for by Derek's own abandonment. Your Honor, she said, biology may open a door, but parenthood is what walks through every day. My client is that parent. The judge recessed. 20 agonizing minutes later we were summoned back. In light of the child's expressed wishes, Mr. Carter's documented instability, and Mr. Weston's established parental relationship, the judge intoned, the petition for custody is denied. Visitation may be reconsidered pending rehabilitation and counseling. Derek's chair scraped back, fury flashed, but court deputies flanked him. Jessica exhaled a sob of relief. I closed my eyes, gratitude and exhaustion colliding. The crisis had passed. The fallout, however, was just beginning. Outside the courthouse steps, Jessica reached for my hand. I froze. I'm so sorry, Mark, she whispered. Can we fix us? I loved her once without reservation, but the fracture ran deep. Trust, our bedrock, had crumbled under lies. The truth had saved my relationship with Ethan and destroyed my marriage. I'll always co-parent with you, I said quietly, but I can't be your husband anymore. Her tears fell, silent and endless. Derek cursed from a cruiser as officers led him away. Reporters clicked cameras, but their flashes felt distant. All I saw was Ethan, gripping my hand like he had when he was 3 and the world was simple. That night, back in the home I designed, boxes waited for me, the start of a new life chapter neither of us had asked for. I tucked Ethan in, the moonlight striping his room. Dad, he murmured. Yeah, bud? We're gonna be okay, right? I swallowed hard and kissed his forehead. We already are. I turned off the light, stepping into a future rewritten by a single strand of DNA, proof that biology can claim blood, but love claims everything else.